Welcome to NIMROD TV, your go-to source for insightful analysis on global trends and current affairs. Today, we're diving deep into a pressing issue affecting economies worldwide: global inflation. Join us as we explore the intricacies of global inflation, its potential impact on your life, and whether Africa could emerge as a safe haven in this volatile economic landscape. Inflation, the persistent increase in the prices of goods and services, has become a dominant force in the global economy. From soaring energy prices to rising food costs, its impact is being felt by individuals, businesses, and governments alike. The COVID-19 pandemic triggered unprecedented disruptions to global supply chains, leading to shortages and delays in the production and distribution of goods. Adding to the complexity, geopolitical tensions, such as the conflict in Ukraine, have further exacerbated inflationary pressures. Understanding inflation is crucial for individuals and businesses alike. For individuals, rising inflation erodes purchasing power, making it more expensive to maintain the same standard of living. Essentials like food, housing, and transportation become less affordable, putting a strain on household budgets. Businesses face a double-edged sword. While rising prices might initially seem beneficial, inflation can erode profit margins as the cost of inputs rises. For policymakers, addressing inflation is a delicate balancing act. The current surge in global inflation is not the result of any single factor, but rather a confluence of events that have created a perfect storm for rising prices. The COVID-19 pandemic, with its lockdowns, travel restrictions, and shifts in consumer demand, threw the global economy into disarray. Supply chains, already under strain from increasing globalization and just-in-time inventory practices, were pushed to their breaking point. As the pandemic raged, governments and central banks around the world responded with unprecedented levels of fiscal and monetary stimulus. Just as the world was beginning to emerge from the pandemic, Russia's invasion of Ukraine added another layer of complexity to the inflation story. Prices for these commodities soared, impacting not only energy costs, but also the cost of transportation, manufacturing, and food production. While global inflation is a shared challenge, its impact is being felt unevenly across different regions and countries. Advanced economies such as the United States and those in Europe are experiencing their highest inflation rates in decades. Emerging markets and developing economies, often more reliant on imports of food and fuel, are facing even greater inflationary pressures. The situation is particularly dire in countries like Lebanon and Venezuela, which were already facing economic crises before the recent global surge in inflation. Policymakers around the world are facing a difficult balancing act as they try to tame inflation without derailing economic recovery. Central banks, which play a key role in managing inflation, are raising interest rates to cool down overheated economies and curb demand. However, raising rates too quickly risks tipping economies into recession, leading to job losses and economic hardship. Some countries are implementing price controls on essential goods, while others are providing subsidies to help consumers cope with rising costs. The global economy is grappling with inflation, but the story is not a monolithic one. Different regions face unique challenges and are employing varying strategies to navigate the storm. Advanced economies, with their robust financial systems and greater policy flexibility, are generally better positioned to weather the storm than emerging markets. One striking contrast is between the experiences of North America and Europe. While both regions are grappling with rising prices, the United States has benefited from a strong labor market and robust consumer spending. Europe, on the other hand, faces greater vulnerability due to its dependence on Russian energy imports and the ongoing uncertainty surrounding the war in Ukraine. Europe is facing a particularly acute inflation challenge, driven largely by soaring energy costs. The continent's heavy reliance on Russian natural gas, coupled with the disruption of energy markets caused by the war in Ukraine, has sent energy prices skyrocketing. The European Central Bank has been slower to raise interest rates than its counterparts in the United States and the United Kingdom. However, with inflation remaining stubbornly high, the ECB has begun to tighten monetary policy, albeit cautiously. European governments are also taking steps to address the energy crisis, including diversifying energy sources and investing in renewable energy infrastructure. The Asian continent presents a diverse economic landscape, with countries at different stages of development and facing varying degrees of inflationary pressure. Some of the region's more developed economies, such as South Korea and Taiwan, have been relatively successful in containing inflation. Southeast Asian economies, many of which are heavily reliant on tourism and commodity exports, have been hit hard by the pandemic, but are now experiencing a rebound in economic activity. However, rising food and energy prices pose a risk to this recovery, particularly for countries with large populations living in poverty. India, one of Asia's largest economies, is facing a particularly challenging situation. The Reserve Bank of India has been raising interest rates to combat inflation, but this risks dampening economic growth. While the global economy grapples with inflation and uncertainty, a different narrative is unfolding in Africa. Often portrayed through a lens of poverty and strife, the continent is quietly undergoing an economic transformation. At the heart of this transformation is a young and rapidly growing population, projected to reach 2.5 billion by 2050. This demographic dividend, coupled with increasing urbanization and a burgeoning middle class, is fueling domestic demand and creating new markets for goods and services. As incomes rise and consumer spending power expands, Africa is becoming an increasingly attractive destination for foreign investment. African governments are increasingly partnering with international organizations and investors to develop their natural resources responsibly. Africa's vast natural resource wealth, combined with its burgeoning consumer markets, presents a compelling case for the continent's economic potential. From the fertile lands of the Nile Valley to the mineral-rich regions of southern Africa, the continent possesses an abundance of resources that are essential for global economic growth. One area of immense promise is agriculture. Africa holds nearly 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land, yet the continent remains a net importer of food. By investing in modern farming techniques and improving infrastructure, Africa has the potential to become a global breadbasket. Beyond agriculture, Africa is richly endowed with mineral resources, including gold, diamonds, copper, cobalt, and lithium. While natural resources will continue to play a significant role in Africa's economic future, the continent is increasingly looking beyond traditional sectors to drive growth. From the tech hubs of Lagos and Nairobi to the burgeoning renewable energy sector, Africa is embracing innovation and entrepreneurship. The rise of the digital economy in Africa is particularly noteworthy. With increasing mobile phone penetration and access to the internet, a new generation of tech-savvy entrepreneurs is emerging. Tourism is another sector with immense growth potential in Africa. Amidst the broader narrative of Africa's economic rise, it's essential to highlight specific countries that serve as beacons of progress. Rwanda, often hailed as an African success story, has made remarkable progress in recent decades. Through a combination of strong leadership, good governance, and a focus on human capital development, Rwanda has achieved impressive economic growth rates. Another notable example is Botswana, a landlocked country in southern Africa that has leveraged its diamond wealth to achieve remarkable economic transformation. Its success story demonstrates the transformative power of responsible resource management and long-term development planning. While the narrative of Africa's economic rise is compelling, it's crucial to acknowledge the significant risks and challenges that could hinder the continent's progress. Despite positive trends, Africa remains a complex and diverse continent, grappling with a legacy of colonialism, ongoing conflicts, and deep-seated structural issues. One of the most significant risks is the continent's vulnerability to external shocks. Many African economies remain heavily reliant on the export of raw materials, such as oil, minerals, and agricultural commodities. This dependence on global commodity prices makes these economies susceptible to price fluctuations in the global market. Furthermore, climate change poses an existential threat to Africa, exacerbating existing challenges such as droughts, floods, and food insecurity. Good governance is the cornerstone of sustainable economic development, providing a stable and predictable environment for businesses to thrive, attracting foreign investment, and ensuring that the benefits of growth are shared equitably among the population. However, many African countries continue to grapple with governance challenges, including corruption, weak institutions, and political instability, which can undermine economic progress and deter investment. Corruption, in particular, acts as a tax on economic activity, diverting resources away from productive investments, eroding public trust, and creating an uneven playing field for businesses. Addressing corruption requires a multi-pronged approach, including strengthening institutions, promoting transparency and accountability, and empowering citizens to hold their leaders accountable. Political instability, often characterized by coups, conflicts, and electoral violence, can also derail economic progress, creating uncertainty, discouraging investment, and diverting resources away from development priorities. Building stable and democratic institutions, promoting peaceful transitions of power, and addressing the root causes of conflict are essential for creating an environment conducive to sustainable economic growth. A lack of adequate infrastructure is a major impediment to Africa's economic development, hindering productivity, increasing transportation costs, and limiting access to essential services like electricity, clean water, and sanitation. Bridging this infrastructure gap is crucial for unlocking Africa's economic potential, connecting markets, facilitating trade, and improving the quality of life for millions of people. Investment in transportation infrastructure, including roads, railways, ports, and airports, is essential for connecting landlocked countries to global markets, reducing transportation costs, and facilitating the movement of goods and people. Improved transportation networks can open up new markets for African businesses, attract foreign investment, and create jobs. Equally important is investment in energy infrastructure, particularly renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and hydropower. Africa has abundant renewable energy potential, which can provide clean and affordable energy to power homes, businesses, and industries. Expanding access to electricity is crucial for improving living standards, boosting economic productivity, and driving industrialization. While risks exist, the potential rewards of investing in Africa are significant. Africa stands out as a frontier market with untapped potential across various sectors. From renewable energy to technology, the opportunities are vast and varied. Africa's renewable energy sector is rapidly growing. The continent is poised to become a leader in clean energy production. Investors are pouring capital into solar, wind, and geothermal projects. Africa's technology sector is burgeoning. Innovation is surging in mobile money, e-commerce, and digital healthcare. Venture capitalists and tech giants are investing in African startups. Africa is undergoing a technological revolution driven by increasing mobile phone penetration, expanding internet access, and a burgeoning tech-savvy youth population. This technological leap is not only transforming daily life for millions of Africans, but also unlocking new opportunities for economic growth, job creation, and social progress. From fintech to agritech to edtech, African entrepreneurs are leveraging technology to address local challenges, create innovative solutions, and tap into global markets. One of the most significant impacts of technology has been the rise of mobile money, which has revolutionized financial inclusion in many African countries. With limited access to traditional banking services, millions of Africans have turned to mobile money platforms to send and receive money pay bills and access financial services. This has not only empowered individuals and small businesses, but also created a new ecosystem for fintech startups and investors. Technology is also transforming agriculture in Africa, with agritech startups developing innovative solutions to improve crop yields, connect farmers to markets, and enhance food security. From drone-based crop monitoring to mobile apps providing real-time market information, agritech is empowering smallholder farmers, increasing agricultural productivity, and contributing to a more resilient and sustainable food system. As we've explored, the global economy is navigating turbulent waters, with inflation casting a long shadow. Yet, Africa emerges as a continent brimming with potential, a beacon of resilience and opportunity. Africa's economic pulse is quickening, driven by a young and growing population. The journey requires strengthening governance and infrastructure, fostering sustainable and inclusive growth. Africa beckons with open arms. Thank you for joining us on NIMROD TV. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged.